fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
The polished chrome of the podium felt shockingly cold beneath my fingertips, a stark contrast to the heat that simmered beneath my skin, a heat that had little to do with the Ares Central Command's climate control. It was a familiar heat, a response to them. I adjusted the stiff collar of my uniform, the synthetic fabric whispering against my neck, a gentle caress that did little to soothe the frantic flutter in my chest. 3,000 souls. 3,000 lives clinging to existence on Elysium Colony, a fragile bubble of green and steel on this rust-colored, dying world. The weight of their hope, their fear, pressed down on my shoulders, a physical force threatening to buckle my knees. I smoothed the fabric of my tunic, a nervous habit I hadn't shaken since being elected protector. It felt insufficient, a small, futile gesture against the immensity of what I was about to announce. This wasn't a routine status update, a recitation of resource levels and atmospheric readings. This was a declaration, a call to arms, a desperate plea against the encroaching blight that was slowly, inexorably consuming Elysium. The air tasted metallic, thick with anticipation. Or maybe that was just my own fear. My gaze swept across the assembled officers, their faces grim, etched with worry. They were good people, loyal, dedicated. They deserved better than this. They deserved a solution, not a war. But the council had been deaf to my warnings for months, dismissing my concerns as predictorial anxiety. Now, anxiety was the least of our problems. And then my eyes found them. Arin. He stood at the front of the assembly, his broad shoulders squared, his jaw tight. His eyes, usually alight with mischief, burned with an inner fire, a fierce, protective intensity that seemed to sear my very soul. A warmth bloomed in my chest, a dangerous, unwelcome comfort. He understood. He always understood. He felt the weight of Elysium as acutely as I did, perhaps even more so, given his role as head of security. A small, almost imperceptible nod passed between us, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of the situation. Beside Arin, Kael remained an enigma. His expression was, as always, carefully controlled, a mask of calm that hid the turbulent currents beneath. But I knew him. I knew the hunger that drove him, the insatiable need for everything. A hunger that wasn't limited to power or control. A hunger that had on more than one occasion been directed at me. The thought sent a shiver down my spine, a mixture of apprehension and something else. Something I refused to name, even to myself. His dark eyes met mine, and for a fleeting moment the mask slipped. I saw a flicker of something raw, something possessive, and then it was gone, replaced by that infuriatingly serene composure. I took a slow, deliberate breath, forcing myself to meet their gazes, to acknowledge the unspoken understanding that passed between us. It was a dangerous game we were playing, this delicate dance of power and desire, a game that could easily consume us all. We were in this together, the three of us, bound by a thread of shared responsibility, a desperate hope for survival, and a tangled web of complications. A thread of desire, yes, but also desperation. A combination that would either save Elysium or destroy us utterly. My fingers tightened around the edge of the podium. The chrome bit into my skin, a grounding sensation. I needed to focus. I needed to be strong for them, for Elysium, for us. People of Elysium, I began, my voice amplified by the command center's speakers, resonating through the room. For months, we have monitored the spread of the crimson rot. We have deployed every resource, every scientific advancement at our disposal to contain it, but our efforts have failed. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I pressed on, my voice unwavering, despite the tremor in my hands. The rot is no longer confined to the outer sectors. It has breached the primary containment fields and is now threatening the central hydroponics farms. If we lose those farms, we lose our food supply. We lose everything. I paused, letting the weight of my words sink in. The Council, in its infinite wisdom, has authorized a full-scale offensive. We will deploy all available defense forces to eradicate the source of the rot, a massive fungal bloom located in the Xylos Mountains. This will be a dangerous mission. Casualties are expected. A wave of unrest washed over the assembly. I raised my hand, silencing the rising tide of protest. I know this is not what any of us wanted, but we have no other choice. We fight for our survival. We fight for our future. We fight for Elysium. My gaze returned to Arin and Kael. Arin's expression was resolute, his eyes filled with determination. Kael's remained unreadable, but I sensed a shift in his energy, a tightening of his control. He was preparing, we all were. Arin, I said, my voice dropping to a lower register, audible only to him, I need you to oversee the deployment of the defense forces. Ensure the perimeter is secure. Of course, Protector, he replied, his voice steady. Consider it done. I turned to Kael. Kael, I want you to lead the reconnaissance team into the Xylos Mountains. We need to know what we're facing before we commit our forces. A slow, predatory smile curved his lips. An excellent assignment, Protector. I assure you, I will gather all the necessary intelligence. His eyes lingered on mine, a silent promise of something more. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to maintain eye contact. Good, dismissed. As they turned to carry out my orders, I felt a wave of exhaustion wash over me. This was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come, and I had a feeling that the greatest challenges wouldn't be found on the battlefield, but within the confines of this command center, within the tangled web of desire and desperation that bound the three of us together. The fate of Elysium, and perhaps my own, rested on a precarious balance. A balance that threatened to shatter with every stolen glance, every unspoken word, every forbidden touch.